In our previous video, we looked at describing the intervals where a graph could be increasing or decreasing. In this video, we're going to take a look at what happens at the point where we switch from increasing or decreasing. For example, right here I'm decreasing, then all of a sudden I change directions and start increasing. Well, what happens is that my graph hits a minimum value. I hit a low point, the bottom of the roller coaster. Vice versa, if I'm increasing and then switch to decreasing, I hit this maximum point. We call these points local mins or local maxes. The actual plural are these minima and maxima, although I don't really use those, I just like mins and maxes. So let's go ahead and describe the minimum or maximum values along this graph, and I'm going to show you how we can answer really the same question, but we can answer it in different ways depending on how they ask the question. So for example, they may ask you to find the x values where a minimum or maximum occurs. So this time they're asking for a local minimum. Well, this graph actually has two. We don't care just about the lowest point, we care about any low points. And so here's a local minimum, and here's a local minimum. And once again, this question just asks for the x values. Well, one place that occurs is when x is equal to -1. Another place that occurs is when x is equal to 3. Now these are not a coordinate, so don't put those together. They're just two numbers. In fact, I would probably just do this so I remember what they are. X is -1 or x is 3. They may also ask you, slightly different question, they may ask you specifically what are the local minimums or maximums. In other words, what's the y value? What is the actual low point this graph gets to? And so there are two low points to this graph. This first one on the left, the low point's actually 1. This point, the low point is 0. So when they ask just for the minimums, they really just want the y values. And then just to make it even a little more confusing, they could also just say what are the coordinates, the x and y values. This time they ask for a local maximum. The graph has one high point, which occurs right here. And so because they asked for the coordinates, I would just say, well, the local maximum, the coordinates of it are 1, 0. Now just one quick note about the word local maximum or local minimum. The reason we say that is because if you look, this graph, if you think about how high it goes, these arrows means it goes up forever. So it doesn't really have an overall maximum, it goes up forever, but locally, we could talk about that local maximum right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to find local maxes and mins on a calculator as well, although hopefully by this point you've seen it, you know how to do it, but I'll show you again in this video just in case you need a refresher on that.